Those feelings that we had growing up were so strong, that's like not going to be replaced, in my opinion.
No, it's so emotionally charged.
Trying to find the activities for me that like just turn the brain off completely, it becomes a bit like your therapy time of trying to shut off the brain and the mind chatter and all those things. And so the consistency of that practice has helped me stay steady and have a consistent avenue that's non-physical.
But can affect you physically,
Totally.
for sure.
Yes. The confidence level and the feeling of athleticism is like 50% of what it used to be, which was a struggle. And then all of a sudden, sports are done, school's done, you have work and an open-ended time frame. Nothing to train for specifically. And so learning that is paramount as well.
Yeah.
When I was sitting on the sidelines and it was just frustrating.
Little no former athlete glimpse where you're like, hold up,
Right.
I'm not ready for that yet.
Exactly, yeah, I didn't want it to be over.
Welcome to the No Former Athlete podcast. Are you an athlete?
Yes.
What makes you say, yeah, I'm an athlete?
Yeah, really good question. Obviously, sports history, playing competitively, growing up, and just simply staying active in life, I think is the way I've translated it now.
Yeah, which sometimes takes some time for people, me, to make that reconnect.
Sure.
Where it's like giving yourself permission, activity's enough. It is okay, it's different. You know, when we're both playing collegiately, when we're doing all of these things, you're in it and you're in the grind and you're competing at your highest level and you're striving for the highest level. But then you hit that moment where it's also like, yeah, doing yoga for 45 minutes counts as a workout.
I think for me, it was, well, and it still continues to be, but figuring out, again, good alternatives that interest you and that you're capable physically of doing longer term to replace it. But it takes experimenting because a lot of the stuff that, at least that I used to do, certainly can't and don't do anymore. So what is it that actually interests me, for one, keeps my attention, and that feels good doing it?
Yeah. And fills sometimes that hole that gets left there.
Right. I was thinking a lot about that when you asked me to join on this, of what that actually is, and I think it's so different for everybody. Some people it's the competitive spirit of it, some people it's the team atmosphere, the games themselves, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I always thought for me, after I tried to explore some other types of activities later in life, it was trying to find things that were more instinctive and that may put me in like places where my brain was off. Like just turned off, not thinking about any situation, anything other than, what you're doing. And thinking back to sport, when you're in the moment and you're instinctive, most of the stuff you do in those games or in those practices or what have you, you couldn't describe how to do that, how anything is going to happen. And so for me, it's been trying to figure out what puts me back in that state.
I have not heard it put that way. And I feel seen by that. And 110%, in a weird way, when I started podcasting and when I started talking to other athletes and, connecting with people again and talking through some of this, the first few episodes that I recorded after, I just like turned and looked at Alex and I was just like, was that good? Alex was like, oh my gosh, guys, that was awesome. Like I can already see all the little nuggets I'm going to pull out. And I was just like, I literally have no idea what we talked about, what I just said. Now that I've done it more, I'm more in the flow of it. But it was the first time, honestly, since playing basketball, that I always call it a blackout. It's that moment where it's like right before you're going to run out for warm-ups, that moment right before you go out. Some people call it butterflies. I always had that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom. I don't have time to go to the bathroom. We're about to run out on the court, but I have to go to the bathroom. But then as soon as you run onto the court, you don't have to go to the bathroom for the rest of the game. And you just like zone in. And then you're like, I don't know what just happened. Felt great. That is honestly one of the biggest things I didn't realize I was missing.
Right.
I didn't realize I was missing that moment of, again, what I call the blackout.
Sure.
And then Alex goes, zen. It's the zen of being able to separate.
Right. It's exactly what it is. And again, it takes time, I think, to figure out.
Yeah.
And I've had battles with it, good and bad, of different sport. And I'm sure we'll talk about injuries and such. But trying to figure out, again, what makes you feel good and that you can sustain. It took me years to really figure out what I like doing, just being kind of bored going through the motions and like, this isn't for me, whatever it may be, and then trying to find that next thing, whether it's, running or races of any kind or biking or whatever it may be. I currently like trail running is my favorite thing. That
Okay,
puts me
I was
in
going to
that.
say, you knew that question was coming next. Like,
Right.
what's the thing now that lets you
That
find
puts
that
me
zen?
in that mood, no question. And I think it's because you have to unintentionally and subconsciously like not step on rocks and not step on roots or not trip and fall. And
You have
so
to
you're
focus enough to not injure yourself.
right, but also at the same time you don't, weirdly, and you just instinctively do it. And so that, and then being outside and being in nature, and I do that with my dog a lot. So that's
love
a
it.
good time.
I
So
love it.
that's been one of the main things for me.
Yeah.
Weirdly too, I play a lot of golf.
Love
I
it.
played as a kid, and so that's one of those things, kind of like riding a bike. It's really way
Yeah.
better to start early in life.
Yeah.
So once I figured out to not care and to not be
There he
angry,
is. There
I
he
got
is.
so much better. And it's
Once
enjoyable.
I released my anger,
Right.
it's amazing how fun it becomes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of things that I really, really enjoy doing
I love
at this
that.
point.
I've been struggling for consistency. I've been struggling for finding something that, from a workout perspective, I'm honestly probably searching for it in the wrong way, because it's like, I want to find that thing that I'm so drawn to playing or I'm so drawn to participating in. I want to more than I need to.
Right.
Which is sometimes hard to find
Sure.
because I was always a team sports person, and I was always yes, I lifted, yes, I worked out, yes, I did tons of workouts, but it was all for me to get better, for me to be better for my team.
Right.
And so I feel my post-competitive life, it's always that, oh, this yoga, okay, I really enjoyed that. Lifting, I love lifting. I love the feeling of that, but then it's like, okay, now how do I repeat it and
Right.
how do I do it again?
And I don't have a perfect answer for that either. I think part of the problem for us too is those feelings that we had growing up were so strong. That's like not going to be replaced, in my opinion.
No, I don't think it is. I think you're exactly right. And that it makes sense why we want to strive for it because it felt so
Felt
good.
good,
It
yeah.
felt real bad sometimes, but it also felt so good. But it's so emotionally charged. Maybe just in the last couple years, I've discovered, oh, I have more feelings than I thought I ever did. And I think growing up and when I was in, heyday of sports mode and all of that, I definitely would suppress feelings and would suppress things. So it's like, nope, I got to stay right here. I got to stay even keeled. But then the sport is what brought the feelings out
Sure.
and what made those feelings so dynamic to where you're exactly right. I don't know that is recreatable. If I would have acknowledged that and been okay to grieve that it wasn't going to be replaceable, I think I would have gotten there faster.
Sure. And I think too, for me, it's having multiple things that interest you. Because I don't think I'll ever be focused on one or two things like I
Yeah.
was, for 15 years.
Totally.
I was thinking about it too, and just kind of what puts you in that mood. And
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I would shoot baskets in the driveway for literally like 7 hours, and I would wear holes in my shoes so fast in like 3 weeks, and like not much makes me feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
And so I have to do multiple things to
Yeah.
keep interest,
Yeah.
just because nothing's going to keep that focus, I
Yeah.
feel like. That also keeps the calendar full and keeps you looking forward to stuff, and
Yeah.
it helps.
You're diversifying, right? It's
Definitely.
like, which too, I grew up playing multiple sports. So again, in that same way, I wasn't specialized. I was going to different types of practices. And so maybe that is a little bit of my block where it's like, again, I think I falsely feel, oh, if I could just find this one thing that I just love. And like, I'm that person, like I'm that woman that always goes to this on this day. Like, I don't know that that's the life for me.
Right.
Just because I was always playing multiple things.
For sure. Especially for us,
Yeah.
that I don't know about you
Yeah.
all, but I didn't
Yeah,
play
yeah.
professionally in any way.
No.
So it was
No.
always tied
I
to
did not
school
either.
and
Yep.
seasons. And so it was so routine.
Yeah.
And you knew what you were doing in certain months for certain reasons. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, sports are done, school's done, you have work and an open-ended time frame with nothing
Yep.
to train for specifically. And so learning
Yes.
that is, I think, paramount as well.
Yeah. Did you feel that right away when you were done playing in college, or was it kind of okay, few years out, few years later?
It was definitely, I think, after college. And I didn't play all the way through college.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of that transition, but still on that time frame of school.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad. But then I, had what I still do currently. I had that job lined up in the fall of senior year. And so then I
So
was
that whole
like,
year you knew.
I knew, but
Okay.
it was also a little scary because you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that for 30 years, and so with no break, and then that's what no break,
Yeah,
in
right.
theory, but that's what prompted me to actually start traveling, which I love to do,
Yeah.
and I went by myself to
Yeah.
Costa Rica for winter term senior
Yeah.
year, and just like totally fell in love with it, and then
love
was
that.
able to do some extra stuff after
Yeah.
after school, but along with other physical stuff.
Yeah.
I like to have trips on the calendar every 2 to 3 months to look forward to,
love
and
that.
because it keeps you focused in life, and then also I like to plan things, and so it keeps me kind of in that mode of planning and organizing and checking things
Max
off
is
the
like,
list.
yes, another thing to put on the calendar.
Right, enjoy
The
that.
joy, the little dopamine hit from
Yeah,
writing that thing on
really.
the calendar. I love
Checking
it.
off all the things on your packing list.
So good.
And
So
camping is one of those things that I've really grown to like the last like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And thinking about this as well, back to the
Yeah.
activities that make me not think about external stuff. It's definitely some of the
Yeah.
wilderness stuff, especially when you don't have phone service. That's huge.
That's us.
Um,
That's us.
When your only objective is to like wake up in the morning, go hike, eat.
The purpose of you being there is to sit there and take it in.
Right.
There's no shoulds.
Right.
You're not supposed to be doing anything specific other than enjoying.
For sure. When you do things like that, you're in some of the most beautiful parts of the world.
So beautiful.
What's wrong with that?
I love it. I love it. What sports did you play growing up? What were kind of the pre-college sports? What were the things that kind of drove you then?
If you're years out from your last game and something still feels off, you're not alone. Most retired athletes don't even realize that they're carrying the weight of an identity loss they never processed. We designed a breathwork experience specifically for retired athletes that helps you release what's been sitting in your body since you stopped competing. The emotions you were taught to push down, the doubt, the disconnect. This breathwork is completely virtual and takes less than an hour. I've done breathwork with this facilitator over 100 times, and I promise you, every single session hits different. I used to think breathwork was woo-woo, and now it's a non-negotiable part of my routine. Lifetime access, one purchase. Grab the discount in the description.
What sports did you play growing up? What were kind of the pre-college sports? What were the things that kind of drove you then?
Sure. So everything as a kid, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, even golf.
Yeah.
Then middle school, I just got down to football and basketball. And then
Okay.
actually, I was just a single sport athlete in high school. So I
school?
just played football.
Okay.
And I thought a lot about that too over the years. I don't know if I regret not playing like basketball or golf
Yeah.
too. But I think in my mindset at that age, I wouldn't have
Okay.
been happy doing
Yeah.
that. I had a couple really good friends that we threw football all the time. We went to the
Yeah.
gym 5 days a week on top of, workouts with the football
Yeah.
team. And so I just enjoyed that so much
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
You enjoyed being able to also use your off season to
Yes.
still be around football.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that a lot. So it was single sport all through high
Yeah.
school. I played quarterback since third grade. I think I was
Yeah.
a running back in second grade flag
There-
football.
okay,
and then,
okay,
And then
running back, Max.
since then, but that was an interesting. If we can
Yeah,
kind of go from
go for it.
high school into college. So our offense specifically was completely different than what I got to at DePaul. And
Yeah.
so we were more of a power running team, possession team, really long drives. I
Yeah.
ran the ball twice as much as I threw the ball every single game. Never had to read defenses, didn't have to know what cover 2,
Yeah.
cover 3, cover 4 was.
Yeah.
Just had 1 or 2 keys. And then I get to DePaul, and I don't know if you've ever looked at like a spread offense playbook.
Yes.
It's a different language. I mean, you have to
Totally.
know so many things. And so
Yeah.
it was borderline a different sport for me
Interesting,
when
yeah.
I got here.
Totally.
And the quantity of quarterbacks on the roster was significant,
Yeah,
and so
fair.
a little bit hard to get
To-
reps
yeah.
early.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, it was everything young, and then once
Yeah.
I got to high school age and just fell in love with working out, stayed with just football.
With football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now I still play golf a lot, but
Love it.
Yeah.
Also, something that you had developed some skills with at a younger age that then you could,
Right.
shift back into without it being brand new.
Right.
And longevity. You can do that for
I hope
quite
so.
some time.
I hope so.
love it.
Yep.
When you made kind of that high school decision, at that time, do you remember having to grapple with that quite a bit? Or was the joy of football enough to just be like, basketball was fine, but nah?
Yeah, it was a little bit of all that stuff. So my favorite coach I've ever had was my basketball coach in elementary school and then in middle school. But he didn't coach high school or any he didn't continue on after that.
Yeah.
And so I started to like kind of fall out of love with basketball in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then into football, deeply at that point and just loved everything about it. And I think truthfully that after learning the game so much more deeply here or at school and college, I know way more about the game now and I enjoy watching the game because I love the strategy of it. So that's a whole nother part that a lot of people don't really talk or think about is kind of the beauty of what an offense can do versus a defense and all the strategy.
Yeah.
So I love that and did a little coaching after college as well at my old high school. And so that's something I will continue to do in the future for sure.
Yeah.
But the decision to go to college to play, I do actually remember that, and it was injury related actually. So I'd always thought that I would want to, but when you get to junior, senior year and like, okay, probably Division III is where I can go. If I didn't do that, I was likely going to go to IU, go to the business school. And so middle of senior year, on the back of a different injury, but I separated my AC joint in like game 4 or 5 and missed 4 games.
Yeah.
And in that window of time of not playing, realized how much I wanted to keep playing. And so that's what made me decide, okay, definitely going to try to play.
So college decision, you were basically choosing between, okay, I'm going to go to a big school, not play on a varsity sport and just kind of focus on your college thing, do it. Or I'm going to go to a smaller school, D3 school, and play.
Exactly.
So you were truly deciding, am I going to play, am I not?
Exactly.
It wasn't just between schools. It was like playing or not.
Yeah, and that was a senior year high school decision. And then, like I said, once I made the decision to play, that obviously ruled out the the big schools. And so I started looking at schools that like we went to. So like Franklin, Hanover, DePaul were the main ones that I was looking at. But even after not playing for a couple years in college, I loved school so much. I actually enjoyed classes. I enjoyed the small nature of everything, and I know I wouldn't have gone to DePaul if I didn't play football. And it's just one of those things that lined up perfectly.
That
and
serendipity where you're just like, oh.
Yeah, it was the right life decision, the right time, and you feel lucky about those types of situations as you look back.
Part of what then drew you back closer to football again was that little glimpse of, oh, hold up, this was just taken away from me for a second. Like, whoa. I didn't make the decision to not play. It was almost taken from you. And then you were like, oh, wow, yeah, this is part of me.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I remember it well. I was, 17, 18 years old, but it was pretty powerful, feeling when you're out and you're watching and that's the best your team's ever been. And we went 2-2 and I was sitting on the sidelines and it was just frustrating. And
back out there.
So that was a unique experience. But again,
little no former athlete glimpse where you're like, hold up, I'm not ready for that yet.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't want it to be over. And so knowing that there was more after that made the end of that season a little easier.
You played for how many years in college?
Played for 2 years.
Okay.
That was an interesting experience altogether. So the head coach we got recruited by left before we got to campus. And then we still had an amazing team freshman year. And then the couple coaches that were awesome that we won conference that year left after freshman year. And you kind of saw the ship starting to sink, unfortunately. So sophomore year was, was a little bit of a struggle. And then after that, it was just, it was kind of the coach left the next year, and then they hired Bill Lynch, who's a wonderful coach, and I wish I got to play for him, which I could have, I guess, come back senior year, but I had torn an ACL at that point too, and was just not ready for that. So
did you already know kind of during season, I'm not going to play again next year?
I had a pretty good feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a pretty good feeling, and part of it was, again, just the sheer number. So when I first got to school, we had 11 quarterbacks on the roster. We had 7 freshmen.
Yeah.
And they do that at that level because there's no scholarship, and a lot of quarterbacks at least switch positions. But I had an old back injury that I would have probably switched to like receiver if I felt safe to do that, but it wasn't the right decision. And so I didn't really get any reps until sophomore year, and then just kind of a combination of the coaching turnover and like I said earlier, it was almost like a bit of a different sport, just given that
Yeah.
how different my position felt at that
Yeah.
time. Even though it was the exact same position,
Yeah.
the responsibilities felt almost completely different. And I didn't love it the way that I had in the
Yeah.
past. And so that whole mesh of circumstances just made me feel like, hey, I'm good.
It felt like time.
Yeah,
It felt like time.
Yes, and kind of how I felt with basketball way younger. I didn't love it, the situation
Yeah.
anymore, and I've kind of the mindset of
Yeah.
if I'm not gonna do something and love it and put 1,000,000% effort into it, I don't want to do it. And
100%.
so it turned out to be a great decision too, because I enjoyed those other 2 years of just being a student.
Absolutely.
And that was fantastic.
Also, I love that, yes, being a student, and you also still did a lot of athletic and competitive things for yourself in those other 2 years.
Some, while I could.
So you stayed at the school.
Correct. And I don't know if that's actually when we met or not, but the next
think
year is
it
when I
is.
became a mentor.
Yeah.
And
I think we met kind of junior
yeah,
year.
got involved in doing some of those things, which I love that. I wish I'd done
Loved
that, more. And then, intramural sports and practice player with you all a little bit
Yeah, you did.
Until I tore my knee in an intramural football game, which is very frustrating. I got hurt like almost never, except for that one time in high
The
school in
shoulder, yeah.
actual football games, and then the year I stopped playing, I do that. And so
Yeah.
that was strange and continues to be strange because I didn't have anything to like rehab super hard
Yeah.
for, so I did it, but I kind of went through the motions because I wasn't playing anymore.
Yeah.
The confidence level and the feeling of athleticism is like 50% of what it used to be, which was a struggle, and that's
You
part
feel
of the
that
reason.
now.
Oh,
You
yeah.
feel like 50%
Definitely.
now.
Yeah. Well, you're a physical therapist, right?
I am.
Yeah. So I figured out a year and a half ago I've got a cam impingement in my left hip,
Got it.
which actually caused
The
something.
back.
Yes, spondy
Yep.
issue. That all kind of went together, and then when I tore this knee and it's been okay, but all the imbalances as I started running a lot more, when I figured out that I loved running, I was like, I'm going to do
Yeah,
this, and
you're
this
like,
is great.
great.
And then just swelling and tendonitis and all
Yep.
these things, and it's
Yep.
remains a challenge.
Yeah.
To get through. But unfortunately, kept me from playing in like pickup basketball leagues and
Yeah.
things like that. Because I could, but I wouldn't feel safe doing
Yeah.
that, and I don't want to, do something else.
Totally.
So I'll still shoot baskets, and
Yeah.
I enjoy that as much as anything. But,
Yeah.
So it's definitely it became different after. I guess that would have been junior year when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it was relearning, and that's another thing that made it so much harder was because I love the team, fast-paced basketball type sports and
Yeah.
the way that makes you feel, and so I don't do that anymore
Yeah.
and can't. You mentioned briefly earlier, like HIIT workouts, and because I didn't know any other type of lifting other than what I
Yeah.
did forever, and so
Yeah.
2-3 years after college, and I kept doing that, I was like, I'm bored now, and I also
Yeah.
don't want to lift heavy, and
Or you're just beating up your body.
Right.
You're literally training and getting trained to take hits from very
Right.
strong and fast people
Right.
to make hits on,
For sure.
so it's like you're just training for something so different.
Yes.
We only know to go and push your body until you're at failure. And it's like, okay, wait a second.
Right.
This doesn't have to be
Correct.
a thing all the time. It has its place, it has its purpose.
Finding the right type of workouts for me was a big part of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I really love the group fitness stuff, and
Yeah.
I rarely pick up weights that are heavier than 20 pounds anymore.
You can do so much.
You can, and
Yeah.
you feel good that way. And
Yeah.
there's cardio and there's some strength and body weight stuff, and
Yeah.
I love doing that. And then coupled with when I am able and feel good, like the trail running type stuff,
Yeah,
that's all a
I love it.
pretty good mixture for me at this point.
Yeah.
But it took me 7 years to figure that out.
Totally. Talk to me a little bit about those 7 years while we were figuring out.
As I mentioned earlier about trying to find the activities for me that like just turn the brain off completely, it becomes, a bit like your therapy time of trying to shut off the brain and the mind chatter and all those things. And so as I got into the work world, trying to find good and healthy outlets to keep me focused, but also to continuously de-stress. And so it was always lifting, yes, but then kind of that age 24 to like 27 or 8, I luckily found journaling. And I think I was 25 when I started doing that, and I
Yeah.
mostly started doing that in the mornings.
Yeah.
And it's nothing fancy, but I like recommend that to people more than I recommend any sort of exercise or any sort of anything else, because it just gets all of the thoughts out of your mind.
Yeah.
And so that same
Yeah.
parallel with all the reasons I like to exercise for that specific reason. So that the consistency of that practice has helped me just stay steady and have a consistent avenue of an outlet like that that's non-physical.
Yeah.
And that's been
But can affect you physically
totally,
for sure.
yes. That's probably been one of the best things I've ever chosen to do, that I would put in this conversation, maybe towards the top of importance of what any of that stuff that I do now. And so that's been huge. And around that same time is when I really started to do a lot more of the outdoor stuff and the hiking and the long hikes and the camping. Those things, again, yes, that's physical, but it's not a workout. It's not an intentional workout, even though it, becomes that ultimately. But finding things like that to have your outlets, have your, your you time that you need. So it was trial and error, like most things in life, of figuring out what you like and going to, this class. Nope, don't like that. Going to this one. Oh, I love that, and it's just kind of by happenstance that you make yourself go. And you do, I don't know, I do a lot of stuff by myself. And so having the confidence just to like walk in a room and do that kind of stuff has been really big for me. And I would encourage people to do that too. So exploration and then finding a couple things, that you like. So for me now it's kind of the group fitness stuff, outdoor stuff. It's coupled with, the journaling that I mentioned as well. And so those are all things that I try to have relative consistency on. And I know when I do, I just feel way better.
Totally.
For sure.
Was there something or was there like a certain feeling or things that kind of drove you to the journaling? Why did that start?
As athletes, we're taught to compartmentalize everything. Push it down, stay focused, win. But that doesn't always serve us as adults. So we designed a breathwork experience specifically for retired athletes. It isn't talk therapy, it's a somatic release that helps you process a decade of suppressed emotions in one powerful session. It's completely virtual and takes less than an hour. Grab your discount code in the description.
Was there something or was there like a certain feeling or things that kind of drove you to the journaling? Why did that start?
Yeah, so I've always been a morning person.
Yeah.
I get up early, I go to bed super early. But I was reading a book about just morning routines and what people do and getting ideas. And that was a suggestion. So I was like, I'm just going to try that. And
easy enough to try.
it is, yeah. And I think it's less so now, but it gets a strange connotation, like it's a diary or something. And who cares, even if it was.
Why is that such a thing?
Yeah. So I just basically write about my days, like from the prior day, to keep the consistency. And so it started in the mornings, and I still do it in the mornings. I get up like 2 hours before I leave anyway. And so, have coffee
That's just
and do
your natural.
that. Yeah. Doing that, I realized how much better I felt just all around. It can be 5 sentences or a paragraph. It's nothing major, but the consistency of it when I'm stressed or excited or, whatever, that's when like 6 pages come out. But that's what I turn to. And so that's been a wonderful thing for me to have. I mean, it's right there.
I know, as I see it next, I love it.
So yeah,
But you're
that's been a
exactly
big
right.
deal.
Sometimes, and I think a little bit of it is our athlete brains, and we're kind of trained into, okay, you might be feeling really big things, but also, okay, bring it back down because you need to focus on the next play.
Right.
Or, it's kind of that, okay, have the emotion, but also kind of leave the emotion at the door.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of that piece, I think, too, that sometimes we don't know. So like when you say, sometimes it's, a couple sentences, sometimes you're writing for pages.
Yep.
When you sit down to do it, you probably don't know what kind of day it's going
Correct.
to be, and then as you start going, it's like, oh, okay, like, let me get this down. And, here's this thought and that. And it does. Just makes you know yourself better.
It does. It definitely does. And one weird benefit I've found from it is even though I do it in the mornings, I'm 100% sure I sleep better because I don't sit there in bed and just like have all these jumbled thoughts. It basically, it just gets things out of your brain. Even if you don't solve anything, it just the process of the release of it is, I think, the main thing of why it works. Why it works for me.
Yeah. Mine for the last year and a half has been breath work. And doing that whenever I'm in town on Fridays. A friend of ours is a facilitator in town, and going to that regularly. I need to get the workout fitness side of it to be a little more regular like that, but we're working on it.
Sure.
I now have a new thing and I'm searching for finding the activity and finding, the sport or the group activity that shuts the brain off.
Right.
A new outlook on that from you.
Sure.
But breath work for me has allowed me, it puts me in more of that meditation type space of, oh, wow, I didn't know that thought existed in my brain.
Yep.
I didn't know that was still in there. I didn't know that was something, that when I take kind of that cognitive piece out, that it is actually like, oh, I needed to see that that existed in there. I don't have to have an answer for it right now.
Right.
I don't have to figure anything out, but just that release. Now I can sit. Now I've got space. I got room for other things. But journaling, I'm gonna have to. I've had spouts where it's kind of like I'll do it consistently for a little bit,
Right.
and it always feels better.
I'm a big fan, and
I love it.
It certainly ebbs and flows a little bit, but I'm probably 5 days a week for,
Yeah.
gosh, almost 8 years now.
Yeah. Growing up, did you feel like you had a lot of feelings, or like you were an emotional person, or did you recognize that in yourself or acknowledge it?
No, the way that I feel my brain works today, that was nowhere when I was 16. You know,
Yeah.
at least I don't feel like it was.
Yeah.
Just the way that I think and the thought processes and I don't know, just the deeper thinking about a lot of different things. I spend a lot of time alone too, and so I have.
Which is a skill.
It's
I think it's a
maybe
skill.
it's a blessing and a curse for
Fair
sure.
enough. Fair
for
enough.
sure, I enjoy it, but
Yeah.
it also very much makes you stubborn, and so
Valid. Valid.
But because of that, I feel like I've just got a lot of think time. The way that I am now versus, high school, college years when you're around people 99% of the time, I didn't even have the space for my brain to work that way.
to know who you were.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we're here at our 10-year college reunion, and reconnecting with people and all of that. And I've had, some other conversations with people too, where it's just like, we're all different.
Totally.
We're all the same people, but we're all so different.
Right.
Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but like most of us for the good.
Right.
Because we've had space and time, and it's, it's such a different situation. It's like, oh yeah, we're all in our 30s now.
Right.
We're all in our 30s, and we're all like, oh, okay, I'm allowed to have feelings, and it's okay
Sure.
for me to acknowledge those within
Sure.
myself, and also, accept them.
Right.
as well as, making space for those things that are important.
Yep. I hate when people kind of have regrets about certain things. It's like you
Oh,
have to go through all
have
all
to.
these scenarios to
Yep.
to get to where you are to make yourself a little bit better, and
Yep.
it's just part of the growth process in life.
Totally. Are there new things that you're looking at trying, or where's Max right now?
I've got to get the knees working better.
Yeah.
Currently,
Been bugging you recently?
yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
the middle of doctor's appointments, but
Okay.
I've learned that like my body doesn't like if I run 30 miles a week, and so I
Yeah.
don't need to do that. And so,
Yeah.
but I want to get to a point where I can run 2 to 3 miles and feel good.
Totally.
And once or twice a
Mm-hmm.
week or whatever. So having that as an outlet, even just basic gym stuff, or
Yeah.
the group stuff I enjoy. But
Yeah.
again, back to the traveling, that's
Yeah.
the thing that I like the most in camping. And I just got a camper and drove it
Love
back from
it.
Washington and went to Yellowstone and all that. Yeah, just upcoming trips. I'm going to South Africa this year, which
Okay.
has been on my list for 10 years.
Amazing. Yeah.
Continuing that every few months. Like I said, Yellowstone this year. I love the national parks in the
Yeah.
States. Yeah, every couple months do something like that. Try to stay generally active. Try
Perfect.
to, enjoy just the daily, life.
Yeah.
So nothing too fancy.
Yeah. Continuing to be mindful,
Yep.
continuing to, those routine pieces.
Yeah, that's important to me.
Yeah.
For sure.
If I had these tools now, the journaling, the
Mm-hmm.
breath work, all of that, if I had started that right away, would I have gotten there faster? Would
Right.
it have helped? Would I have not struggled as much with that transition
Right.
out? Where do you think you are on that?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing to think about. And I think the main thing would be it would just have sped up the process. At the point, I feel like, where I like my life and I enjoy
Yeah.
my daily life and the things that I do. And I think that we should want
Yeah.
to have a life like that. But,
Totally.
I kind of got to that point maybe mid-20s, and then it's continued to
Yeah.
evolve a little bit, but it would have just gotten me there faster,
Yeah.
I think.
And some of it, some of it is age, and some of it is, transitions and things that people are generally going through at those ages.
Yep.
I do think that hearing people talk about it more, we all know a lot of athletes in our
Right.
lives, especially when you're in athletics growing up,
Sure.
you're surrounded by those people. And I think just hearing and acknowledging, maybe I should prepare to grieve a little bit more when I know, even if the end is coming, even if it's not injury related, even if it's not, because of other circumstances,
Right.
regardless of how it ends, it's a huge change. People are going to go through those moments. I know this is going to be hard. I know I'm going to be sad. It's
Right.
okay to feel sad about
Right.
it. But let me write those things down. Let me
Sure.
start journaling right off the bat. Putting in those habits that don't have to be physical.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be workout related, but it can change kind of where you're at, and it can change your body in so many
Right.
of those ways.
I agree, and I thought a lot about that too after you sent me your link, and I was
Yeah.
like, gosh, that is such a good idea, because
Yeah.
the top sports programs and all those things, they have sports psychologists, and that's gotten to be a bigger thing, and for obvious reasons. But
Absolutely.
99.9% of athletes don't have access to anything like that, never think about it, never talk about it. And so at a minimum of doing something like this, one, it makes you think through your own life, which is
Totally.
good and healthy, but you get ideas and you get to share ideas. And also there is this cluster of people who were athletes,
Yeah.
competitively for a long time, that never have the option or to talk through whatever that transition would look like, what they would like doing afterwards.
And some of it too, the time to explore those things also was never suggested or encouraged for us. And again,
Yeah.
not to anyone's fault, because I think everybody, above us and our parents and all
Sure.
that, like they all went through it too.
Right.
But I hope, and I do think that part of it is getting better to where it's like, it's okay to also like other things.
Right.
Your sports are what you do. It's an activity that you do. Yes, it can totally be part of your identity. It can be part of your identity forever, but it's not who you are.
And I think a lot of that is just the mindset and the kind of person that you are, the things that you value, and that carries with you forever.
Absolutely.
Again, back to the team and the camaraderie and the competitiveness. You can evolve that and channel it in certain ways, but it's never going to leave you. Really.
Yeah.
Not everybody's the same. Certainly,
Absolutely.
not all athletes are the same, but athlete to non-athlete, so to speak, definitely different in some of those ways. But it takes time, and it takes practice, and it takes exploring to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then,
And to a certain extent, trusting in the process long enough and knowing that it's worth the effort.
right.
Try to journal. Try to figure out why you're feeling the things you're
Sure.
feeling, that moment where your brain can turn off. When you show up to the gym, when you show up to the field, you step out there, you don't have to think about all the other stuff during the game.
Right.
It's fun to play.
Sure.
And we get joy, we get endorphins from playing too. That mental piece of it. So often I was like, I was doing so many things, all the activities, multiple sports at one time. And then everybody would kind of always ask me, they're like, you don't get burnt out, or like, you're not stressed about it. And I was like, well, no, they're like, this is just what you do.
Right.
And then post sport, when I kind of had a cutoff from my athlete identity, and I was like, okay, now you need to focus on school and PT and all that, and like let it go. I was like, oh, why do I like feel a little bit more anxious? Why do I feel a little more
Right.
stressed? I was like, oh, because the, stress relief benefit of exercise,
Right.
of every practice I was going
Yep.
to every day, I had that release moment.
Right.
I could clear my brain. Then when you don't have those practices and you don't have those sports, all right, my brain clear is gone.
Right.
Oh, wow, no, that was bringing me other benefits other than just the joy part and the competitive part and the winning and all of that.
But we definitely didn't know it at the time.
We did
For
not.
sure.
We did not.
I think another really important thing post athletic career is it takes a while, and it may not always get there, but like the full on acceptance that A, it's over, and B, physically you're likely not going to be able to do anything like that anymore.
Yep.
Not that you can't participate in those
Totally.
same types of activities, but the level and again the confidence, physically too, like that's just kind of gone.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's
It is.
very normal.
It is okay.
But it's hard to think that's real and to be okay with that. And that certainly takes time, but that has definitely helped me. It was a little bit accelerated with the knee for sure,
Yeah.
but you have to, or else you're going to drive yourself crazy.
You're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yep. And that's why the alternatives are so important, whatever that is.
Thinking about kind of no former athlete and just that you are still an athlete, it's in you. You don't just automatically not have a, sports history just because you're not actively playing it anymore is how I see it.
Yeah.
What's anything else you want to put out into the world?
It's fun to think back on all that and be happy for it and relive some of it because it was fun and it was such a big part of your life. So you have that. That's always going to be there. Hopefully you've got maybe some tape of it or something that you can watch when you're
Totally.
80 years old or
Yep.
whatever. But remembering how great it was and how great it felt and those relationships you had and kind of seeing where people are now, I think is just a great thing to be able to have in life.
Absolutely.
But yeah, really work on exploring what is good for you, what kind of makes you happy and tick. I briefly mentioned that I coached a little bit, and
Yes.
I
Yeah,
can't really
yeah.
now because of time. I mean, when you
Yeah.
coach varsity high school, it's 25, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I will definitely do that again in the future. But
Yeah.
knowing so much more about the game and enjoying that position, that was something I didn't know that I would love as much as I did. And to be
Yeah.
able to help people through not only through these transitions, but to make the most out of their sports experience is something that I think will be really fun in the future.
I love that.
But certainly the mental game is the most important in my opinion. You know, figuring that out, whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
Getting a grasp on that is step number one, no question. And then obviously if you can do things to stay in good physical shape as well, that's just going to help your quality of life.
Absolutely.
And give you those outlets that we talked about. So finding some of that stuff that you can be consistent with and love and enjoy long term, to me, it makes sense that that's going to lead to a better quality and a more enjoyable life. That's the plan. That's the goal.
I love it. Spend the time, take the time to figure out what works for you. Figure out who you are for yourself so that you know first. And then you can, show up in these other spaces and it'll help, relationships and friendships and all the things. And
I think most importantly, just be patient with it. Takes a while.
With yourself.
Trial and error. Have the confidence to go do stuff.
It's a learned skill. And it does take some adjustment and some time to be like, oh yeah, okay, so now I can do this for myself. Just because I want to do it, and it's okay to have those wants, and it doesn't have to be for something bigger or more than for yourself.
Yeah. I think the last thing that I would say, it's been huge for me, is just get outside. So much better out there.
Yeah. Touch grass.
Touch grass, see the mountains, go on hikes. I don't know. It's just, I don't know, feels better than sitting inside.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review. You taking that 5 minutes makes a huge difference and helps us to be able to make more episodes like this. And if you know any No Former athletes that you think I should get in touch with, DM me on Instagram @NoFormerAthlete. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.